I've never liked watching any New Year's coverage. I mean, every time I tune in, they always drop the ball. What's going on, YouTube? It is 8 p.m. on the dot, so we're inside the Hollow City, inside of Cold Harbor, outside the plane of existence, but feel free to check out the exact same vendor inside of Cragblorn. But the flavor, the scenery, the people in Cold Harbor make this for what it is. Now, this week, we have some interesting items. This fun fact is also my instant reaction to these items, so you're getting the live reaction. Now, we're looking at these items for two reasons. One, you may want to use them for yourself. If you want to have an Elder Scroll, but you don't want to become a 5-star general, boom, you just have to accept the fact that it's being held by a mummy. That's, not a bad trade-off. This one, unfortunately, Elder Scroll lists, but for some reason is only 1,500 gold cheaper. That really tells you the value of an Elder Scroll. There are some Necrom items. I believe this bowl might be new. What? Who's taking this as an offering? Hello? Who are you offering this to? The mushroom gods? Does Luigi want these mushrooms? What in the world? Now this, though, for 6,000 gold is actually pretty good. The items are just all over the place. A single candle for 5,000? You could let Gondor know that help is coming. But if you want to light a single candle, it's just 1,000 gold cheaper. Man, it's really at the ball on a budget if you're trying to do ritual sacrifices with aesthetically pleasing red candles. So you either want to use these to either buy and resell or to just use them for yourself. If you just want to use them for yourself, just look at it and go, is that good? If you do want to buy any of these to resell, yeah, there's some decent ones here. I do like the gigantic pyre to Gondor. I think this is a really cool item. 6,000 gold, can't go wrong, generates light, aesthetically pleasing. That's probably the best item. Second best, I think the Necrom Funerary offering incense is pretty good as a second place. And before we jump into the second vendor here, just a quick reminder to subscribe. I think we're like one subscriber away from 26,000. So you could be Mr. 26,000 as long as other people don't unsubscribe, or if somebody else hasn't subscribed first. But even if somebody else does, please subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, hit the like button. Let's see what the other golden vendor has for us. And to start from the Blessed Crucible, we have the Ring of Nicholas. Now, while we talk about this here, this set's actually been changed, which you might think makes it better, but it just made it a bit more whimsical, if you will. A bit more tomfoolery-esque. So it gives you armor, health. That's a great start for a PvP-esque set or any sort of tanking set. When you block, you gain a stack of Nicholas's Resolve. Don't know who that is. For 5 seconds, up to once every half second. After 8 stacks, you consume all of those and deflect the next direct damaging attack made against you within 5 seconds, avoiding it completely. This is probably the clinical term that my chat has coined is cattywampus. Also, I forgot to show you that we're inside our High Rock Gate over here. This is a very cattywampus set. Very hard to time, very hard to do reliably. You're not going to see this for PvE content. PvP, it's probably described as unreliable at best. I would say it's still above average. You're still getting some benefit, even if you can't time it, so we'll just give it a 6.0 and move on. Next up from Vollenfell is Crusader. Now, previously, Crusader was hot buns. You were not retaking any Holy Land, but it has been changed. So it's 2, 3, and 4 are weapon and spell all the way through, which is part of the problem with this set. And then when you deal direct damage with a blink, charge, leap, teleport, or pull, you consecrate the ground beneath you for 10 seconds and gain a damage shield that absorbs damage for 6 seconds. Every 2 seconds, but you also give everybody in the area minor courage. So a whole lot going on here. There's a lot. This is primarily, I would say, used for off tanks, doing some interesting ways to give people minor courage. It's probably not helpful in the day, age, and meta that we live in, but people write off sets like these because it's base game, it's from Vollenfell, it's a bit goofy, but overall, it still gives you a decent buff. It's a bit difficult sometimes to proc in the ways that you want, but obviously tanks can do pulls relatively quickly and easily. So I would say this is like a 7.0. This is a good tanking set that you're probably not going to see used ever. But if you look at it, you go, Yeah, I could use that. Next up from Stormhaven, you get armor, health. When you take non-physical damage, you deal 1253 shock damage to all enemies within 5 meters of you every 2 seconds for 6 seconds. This can occur once every 6 seconds. It scales off your weapon and spell damage. I plan to use this for a no damage pacifist ESO story mode run. Is that good? No. What else would you use this for? Some sort of weird block tank, infinite block thing. I wanted to see if you could use a set like this to just block your way through like Maelstrom Arena, just because there's a lot of people who are like, Jake, it's so scary to go into like Maelstrom Arena alone. And I'd be like, well, look, if you want to do it on normal, just to get your feet wet, you could literally use this set where you just block the whole time and everything dies. It took me about an hour and a half to get through the first round. You don't die, but you probably wish that you did. Next up is from Bankerai, 7th Legion. Now, 7th Legion's actually pretty popular. Weapon and spell, health recovery, crit chance. When you cast an ability that grants major or minor resolve while in combat, you gain 341 weapon and spell damage, 341 health recovery, 15 seconds, and this could occur once every 15 seconds. Now, the health recovery, not very helpful, nerfed in PvP, not the greatest, but an unnamed weapon and spell damage buff that will stack with all your other major and minors, I mean, that's pretty good. So I would say 7th Legion is a great set. It's really held the test of time where people are like, oh, do I want to use this? The uptime is fantastic. Being able to use it pretty frequently. So I would say that 7th Legion is probably like an 8.0. It's not an excellent set. I also wouldn't necessarily buy it because it gets farmed a lot, because inside of Bankerai, you can, anytime an event says, oh, kill dungeon boss or kill world bosses, it's like, oh, you mean like these 3 world bosses? These 3 world bosses probably have the roughest time out of any world boss trio in entirety of the ESO. So unfortunately, the set itself is not very valuable because it has been overfarmed for that reason. But other than that, great set. Next up from Black Drake Villa, shoulders. I love shoulders. You save Undaunted keys. You don't have to do any more Undaunted pledges with randoms. It saves you so much headache. Your hair doesn't have to be torn out of your head if you will get a good shoulder in. And this is a good shoulder. Comes from Black Drake Villa. Encrati's Behemoth Arms. Now, 1 piece, Max Magicka. And then 2 piece, dealing flame damage to an enemy grants you Behemoth's Aura for 12 seconds. That reaches up to 12 meters. It's a lot of meters. It's like, what, 36 feet? You and up to 11 other group members in that aura reduce flame damage taken by 5%, and enemies in that aura increase their flame damage taken by 5%. It's a pretty good set. A lot of weird utilization. Sometimes tanks will use this stuff. Sometimes support classes will use this stuff. It's generally seen as more of like a support monster set. So that's where I would classify this as, but flame damage is also pretty popular in PvP as well as dealing flame damage is pretty popular in PvP. There's so many ways that you could use this. I don't know which is necessarily the best because none of them jump out at me, because I could see all sorts of different builds, like Dragon Knight builds inside of Cyrodiil getting a lot of utilization. PvE support classes obviously love this. We'll just give it a 9.0. It's a fantastic set. It's one of the newer sets in the game, relatively speaking, compared to the ones that we've looked at so far. And it's good. People still use it to this day. I would even go so far as to say it's fantastic if you use it in its best utilization. Next up from Ice Reach is Mother, word that I will pronounce incorrectly and inadvertently boost the comments on this video. So we're just going to go Cinnamon. Mother Cinnamon is a 1-piece Max Magicka, and this one comes from Ice Reach. I always get the ice ones confused. The Frostvault, Ice Reach, very cold places, very similar styles. But while in combat, casting an ability with a cast time or channeling an ability grants you a damage shield that absorbs 2,774 damage for 6 seconds. And then if that damage shield is broken, you restore 951 Magicka. Now, there's quite a bit of problems here. The first one I do want to mention too that some people might forget. I am in Cyrodiil right now, so I am under Battle Spirits effects. So the shield is actually weaker than it would be. It's about halved. So this would actually be slightly larger as a shield if you were outside of Cyrodiil. Now, let's talk about its 2 potential utilizations. Solo play is decent. Getting a damage shield, you're probably using cast time, channeling abilities pretty frequently. damage shields, free health, for solo content players. And if it's broken, you get magicka back, which is helpful for a lot of these heavy attack builds. Let's talk about the cons, though, and we'll talk about the other utilization, too. So some people will just slap this on a Templar and just throw them into Cyrodiil with it, because it's basically a free shield to eat a couple ticks of damage. It comes up decently enough to where it's like, okay, it's there often-ish, even if it's not the craziest amount, and then they're using it for magicka sustain. There are people typing in the comments that Wretched Vitality is basically free. Roxa, the set that I'm using, basically free. You could just use that instead if you wanted recoveries. True, but you also don't get a damage shield. I know it's not the greatest set ever, but I would say it's a good set. It's not harmful. It's just not great. There's so many great options for sustained sets. And I would put this more in the good tier if you're trying to use this in that utilization. It will give you a little bit more survivability, a decent amount of resource recovery, but it's not going to be anywhere comparable to where it needs to be higher than like a 7.1 on our Richter scale here. But everyone, this has been our Friday vendor reviews. These will last until Monday morning, so you have the whole weekend to get them. Very curious, which items did you think excited you the most? For me, it's probably lighting the warning beacon, out to other players. It'd be kind of cool if you could see other people's houses in the distance. Like, oh my gosh, somebody turn on all their lights. The electric bill is probably crazy over there. But what item interests you the most? I would say for sets, it's probably got to be the Behemoth set. But let me know in the comments below. 7th Legion's also great too. Just I would check the ESO open market. Some people might be selling it to try to offload some of their alliance points. And if that's the way that you get it, it's good utilization for you. Or if you just have ridiculous amounts of AP. So thank you guys so much again for watching. As always, we're doing our 3 giveaway drawings. These will also be posted here tomorrow, the winners, but all you need to do to enter is leave a comments below. Second thing is just make sure you're subscribed. And the third thing is look for a hidden word to be flashed upon the screen. Last month, the word was a phrase. This, I'll go back to making it one word. That way nobody's confused, and the winners will be posted tomorrow, but redo it. It's an ongoing thing that we do. I did make a community post yesterday that I just wanted to give time to marinate without other things blocking it off. So that's why a bit delay. But I'll see you guys then, and I'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
You better remember to like and subscribe to Jakeclips. Or you should. I might have to pluck your eyes if you don't. Or, better yet, I'll skip rope with your entrails. Do it now. Subscribe. Ta-ta. Off with you.